Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning. It's about 10:30 for me. I'm not sure where it is. We've got people. Hello from Boston. Hey TJ. Hey Thomas. Good to see you always in Long Island. Good to see you guys. I'm really excited to be here. This is going to be a fun one. A couple of weeks ago, a week ago, I can't remember exactly how long ago. I sent out an email, made a video about this process called using guide tones to improvise, which can be really fun. You know, it's a bunch of fun to actually use the content of the harmony to create solos, do all that kind of thing. And I used the example of "Comfortably Numb," which is like one of my favorite songs of all time. Like when I first heard it when I was like, I don't know, a teenager. You know, those formative years when everything's really cool, everything's really fun, and I just love this song. I like put it on repeat for days at a time. In case you haven't heard it, I've just dumped the link to it in the chat right now. But what we want to do right now, I got like a bunch of emails back saying, I love that song as well. It's so cool. David Gilmour's like my hero. And he's like totally my hero as well in terms of melodic playing that outlines chord changes and all that kind of thing. So today we're going to look at the Comfortably Numb solo, the first solo specifically. It's only 8 bars long, but it's beautiful. It's genius. And we're going to look at how it's put together. I'm going to show you how to play it on bass. I've even included in the description below this video tabs of this solo, like adapted for bass. You don't need to play guitar. You can play it on the bass. So go ahead and download that now, and you can follow along. If not, don't worry. I'm going to put it up on screen for you. It's gonna be fun. TJ says, "Looking good for 49, mate." I'm not sure what you mean by that. Not 49 yet. That's in 3 years' time. No, I'm not that old. All right, so first thing I want to do is actually play the solo for you because it is, oh man, it's so good. So YouTube I might get in a bit of trouble for this one, but it's going to be worth it because you guys are going to love this. Check this out. In case you haven't heard it, this is the solo I'm talking about. This is the one that we're going to be listening to and figuring out today. That's it. That's the solo. 8 bars long. Man, it's so cool though. It's like one of my favorites of all time. And what I want to do today, right now, in fact, is go through this note by note, break things down, look at what he's doing melodically, look at what he's doing harmonically, look at what he's doing rhythmically, all that stuff. So we're going to jump right over here. This is, in all its glory, David Gilmour's first solo on "Comfortably Numb," adapted for bass. So first of all, let's have a look. What in the live chat? Tell me what should we look at? Should we look at rhythm first? Look at the harmony. Look at the melodic ideas. What do you guys reckon? Out of the three, rhythm, harmony, or melody? First one to jump in the live chat, and there's a bit of delay. I don't see the comments immediately. But the first one who gets in there, we're going to jump on that. It's going to be fun. We will cover all of them. It's not like I'm only going to do one and then just like not worry about the rest. We are going to do all of them. It's going to be cool. It's going to be fun. But I want to know what you guys think. Yeah, Thomas was saying just listen to the Wall album last week. Yeah, like really listen. Yeah, that's a good one to actually like put your ears on rather than going to the gym or washing dishes or cleaning the house while you listen to music. Actually listening to that one like full on is a really cool experience. Same with what's it called? How can I oh my god, the famous album. Okay, so TJ says harmony. I will remember that album. That's sorry. I'm feel really silly now. Must be getting old. I must be about 49. So let me see. TJ says harmony. So let's look at the harmony. What's he doing harmonically? How is what he's playing related to the chords that are going on in the song, right? So if we have a look here, we start off on good old-fashioned D chord, just a D major. So in this case, it's D, F sharp, and A are the notes in that chord. And what's he playing right here? This is an F sharp. What is F sharp in relation to a D? It's the third, right? So what we might do here, get real fancy, is put this up here. Oh, that shouldn't be like that. Sorry, guys. Do this real quick. Go. All right. Make that a bit smaller as well. There we go. Okay, so we start off playing a good old-fashioned third, right? Very, very cool. Oh, whoops. Third. So the third of the chord. Yep. Now, what does he do in the rest of the bar? We've got. So we get like this kind of little suspension right here on where are we? Hold on. Do this real quick. Yeah, we get this kind of little suspension right here on the. What's going on? There we go. So we actually get the fourth over there, and then we get over the A. What is we actually get like a little bit of a push here into this note right here, this E, which is what in relation to an A chord. An A chord has an A obviously, and a C sharp is the third, and an E is the fifth. So this one we're actually getting the fifth right here. So he's not, bass players, we're like very root-centric animals. We tend to really gravitate towards the roots. So going outside of our instruments, so looking at, for example, a guitar solo like this one, or any other kind of solo, it's going to really help broaden our horizons. So what we have there is actually the fifth. And we are getting, we'll talk about the rhythm in a second, but just we're getting a little bit of a push into this one. We're anticipating this A chord right here. Oh, sorry. We're anticipating this. Oh man, I can't draw circles. That's terrible. Yeah, we're getting this this A chord right here. It's being pushed with this note right there. That's very cool though. But also check this out. These three notes here. C sharp, A, E. That's very low for me. That actually outlines these three notes here. It outlines the A major chord, and it's so beautiful. It's so melodic. Nice little rhythmic thing here. We'll also talk about that. But this is just straight up all A right here. But we actually get a little bit of an anticipation again. We'll talk about the rhythm in a second for this D, because what happens after this D, we actually get another D chord. So we're actually on this one, starting on the root for that one. So far, our important notes, the ones that are kind of outlining the changes right here, they're the third over the D chord, the fifth over the A chord, and then we get to the root of the D chord right here. So we get this, and we are in, like, this is our kind of home key of the moment. So when we get to that root, we actually feel like nice and stable, nice and at home. Very, very good melodic choice to make things feel very stable. And then we get next, we get this kind of idea again. Pardon me. This is very similar to that idea we had up here. Yeah, so we're starting on the third. This is on beat 3. Again, it's a very important beat, very strong beat. So you could almost think of this as being outlining of the changes as well. And then we do the same thing over here. Oh my God, my circles are so bad. need to take a drawing course or something. We get the same thing over here as we get over here. We get the fifth of that one there. So over the A chord, we've got the fifth. Very, very cool. Again, not playing the root over that makes it feel nice and open. Very, very cool. And we get a similar kind of idea. You'll notice that with this solo, we get we get very few ideas, but man, they are very, very cool. And they, like, for example, this idea that we've pretty much already had before. Yeah, this is the same as this up here. It's just an extension of that. We get this this same idea we had up here, outlining that A chord. Yeah, so we get. Yeah, nice big. I can't sing that low. But again, we're just outlining that A chord. Sounds really good. Sounds really, really beautiful. Next, we get a different chord right here. We've got this C major chord. Yeah, so we're not in the key of D anymore. We've kind of moved outside of that. But what do we get in terms of the harmony? We get a G right here. Now, what's our C chord is C, E, and G. What is this note here? It's our G. So we're getting the fifth again. So this fifth. Now notice I'm mostly focusing on the notes at the very start of the bars for the harmony. So the third here, the fifth here, the root there, the fifth there. And that's because they're the most important when it comes to harmony. They're kind of the most important ones. If you land on like a really bum note on the very start of the bar, it's going to be a little bit weird, right? But if you land on, for example, all the notes in the chord, so like thirds, fifths, roots, fifths down here, you get nice melodic sounds. They sound really, really good, yeah? Now, let's zoom back in. And now this is an interesting one right here. This is the first time we've got a note that's outside of the chord. Now we've got a G chord right here, a G major, and the notes in a G major are just, let's do it up here. G, B, D, da, da, da. But we don't get that in this here. We get an E right here. Da, da, da. Now what is an E in relation to a G? It's actually a sixth. Now, if you've been following Become a Bassist for a while, you know that I love sixths. It's a... What's going on? Yeah, I love sixths. They're like one of my favorite kinds of intervals to play with and do all that kind of stuff. So we're getting a sixth here, which is a super melodic sound, but we also do resolve straight back to, pardon me, to a D right here, which is the fifth. So you could almost think of this sixth as being like a kind of suspension. Let's do it up here. Yeah, that kind of sound. So you could think of this as being, again, actually do it up here as well, resolving down to the fifth there. So we're getting very, very strong harmonic ideas right here. Again, we're getting like a fifth over here. Now I'm saying fifth because this is a G over here, and this is actually anticipating this next C chord right here. So even though we've got, what is this, a G over a G chord, this G is actually kind of anticipating this chord down here, the C chord. Very, very cool. That's way too big. All right, so yeah, so we've got this fifth down there. If we look, let's keep going over here. Over the G chord right here. Oh, whoops, pardon me. This G chord right here. We've got a D, a fifth. Nice, nice little choice there. So, and then, and actually, this is anticipating an A chord that comes after it. But that's kind of the end of the solo there. So, if you have a look at just the really important first notes of every bar, you'll notice third, fifth, root, fifth. The sixth going down to a fifth, and fifths are going to sound very open. They're not going to sound. The only time we get a root on like an important, like on beat one of a bar, is right here, and that's the only place. Everything else is roots and fifths, and then we get this kind of like the sixth and fifth thing over here, which is really, really cool. So we're getting all kinds of really cool stuff in there. Now let me go have a look. Okay, quick, awesome. Now, does that make sense for everyone so far? This is we're just looking at what notes are in relation to the chords that are being played around them, and this is something you can absolutely use in your own playing. In fact, my most recent video is exactly about that: how to outline changes with guide tones. And you could think of thirds and fifths, and sometimes even other notes as being guide tones to kind of give you a roadmap for improvising through chord changes, even if they're very simple changes like this one. We've just got D major, A major, back to D major, all that kind of thing. That makes sense. So harmonically, you can use those ideas to do all this kind of stuff that we're talking about. Now, let's get rid of all this stuff and have a look at. Oh, whoops! I need that one. That's important. Let's have a look at. There we go. Let's have a look at what's happening rhythmically. Now, if you have a listen to the track and you know the track, you know that it's like quite slow. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, pretty slow. And we're also getting a lot of long notes, especially long notes on the downbeats of all the bars, right? Check this out. Downbeat right here. Got a nice big minim. 2, 3, last 2 whole beats. Not so much here, but definitely here we get that same thing, yeah? This one lasts for 3 beats. 2, 3. We get a sort of long note here as well. Oh man, once again, I must apologize for my drawing skills. They are very substandard. I need to become a graphic designer or something, not a bassist. Okay, cool. Same thing in terms of big old strong notes on the downbeats happens right here on this C chord, right there. Same thing happens right here as well. So check this out. If we zoom out a little bit and get like a big picture kind of view of things, every 2 bars here on at the very start, bar 3, bar 5, and bar 7, we're getting long notes on the downbeats. I'm not sure if this was kind of intentional or accidental on David Gilmour's part, but it has a very, very cool effect on the music. We're getting we're getting space, we're getting time to absorb what he's playing, right? He's not playing 1,000 notes a second. He's not kind of going crazy shredding with like wahs and crazy amounts of effects. He got some effects on there for sure, but he's giving us time to absorb what he's doing. He's like, check this out. Ooh, that's a really cool note. That one is as well. Two, check it out. We're getting all those notes as well. Even to a lesser extent, we're getting long notes at the start of every other bar as well. We're getting, this is a sort of a long note there. We're getting the same thing here. We're not getting so much at the start of this one right here, but we do get it a little bit here as well. And then here, check it out. So it almost follows a formula of long note at the very start of the first bar and a long-ish note at the start of the next bar, and it just kind of alternates. So long note, sort of long note, long note, sort of long note, and he just fills in the gaps from there. Yeah. Okay, cool. So the other thing that is really cool that I really love about the solo is his use of triplets. Check it out. We've got triplet figures here. We've got triplet figure here. That's a really big one. We've got here as well. So we get these 3 places where we've got these really big triplet figures. It's this one, the very first one, is very kind of subtle, right? We're not kind of getting bashed over the head with it. We're getting pardon me. There it is. Even the first one is kind of tied to this note here. So that one's relatively kind of subtle, but he brings it back again in the second phrase. This is a really like a really big triplet figure here. Yeah, we're getting tons of triplets here. Now, I'm not sure there's any other place in the entire song where triplets get used up until this point. They do get used in the second solo as well, but in the first one, this is the first time I've been introduced to this rhythm in this song. So far, it's always just like it's like a little bit of 16ths, but mostly kind of eighth note based, and this provides beautiful contrast. We're getting this kind of floating feeling over the very solid rhythm section. The drums and bass are laying down this like super solid foundation, and we're getting these beautiful floaty triplet figures over the top. Sounds really, really cool. And then we get the same thing here. Yeah, same thing. We're getting super strong rhythmic structure underneath here, and David Gilmour's kind of floating over the top with this triplet figure in here. Super, super cool, right? But there's also places, pardon me. There's also places where it gets a little bit busy. We've got some 16ths up here, some even some 30-second notes, because this is quite a slow song. There's kind of room for, rhythmic figures that are a bit trickier. So we're getting. So even though it's like quite a slow song, he's injecting rhythmic excitement, anticipation with these little fill-ins that he's doing. But it's contrasted beautifully with these long notes. Yeah, so he's like earned the right to shred a little bit in this figure, because we've got it's like preceded by a fairly long note, and it's what's followed by rather a very long note as well. So we're getting, what is that, like a plastic bag or something? That's terrible. There we go. That's better. Yeah, so we're getting longish note here, fastish notes here, figures, and then we're getting a nice big resolution of that phrase right there. And that's another important thing to realize. We're getting you have to think about what all these rhythmic things do for the music. So, for example, doing this kind of 30-second note run, that's going to produce some excitement, maybe a little bit of tension. And with that excitement, with that tension, it needs to be resolved, right? And he does it beautifully by rhythmically speaking. He does it by anticipating the next chord change and also a long note as well. Gives it time to kind of settle in the mind. He also bends up to it. That's one thing I didn't put in this this particular what's the word transcription. I didn't put in any of the bends because they're quite tricky to do on bass. You have to really stretch the strings. So that's rhythmically. It's like everything just comes together really well in this solo. So how can you use those rhythmic ideas in your own? We've talked about the harmony. How can you use these kind of rhythmic ideas in your own solos? Well, the first thing that kind of really jumps out to me is to have a contrast between long notes and notes that aren't quite so long. Yeah, and like I was saying before, the long notes are the things that are going to give you, what's going to give the audience time to absorb what you're doing. So, for example, like this really fast thing here, if it was just all like tons of notes, it wouldn't be as cool, right? Because you wouldn't have time to absorb everything. And that's why you see like crazy metal shredders. They'll have like big followings amongst other crazy metal shredders and like people who like want to hear tons of notes. But you give it to like the average person and they're like, I'm not really into it. It's like doesn't really speak to me. Same with like jazz guys. Like you give someone like a regular person off the street, like a Charlie Parker something or other, or like something with just tons of notes. A lot of times they'll be like, oh, I don't really understand it. But you give them something like Miles Davis, like Kind of Blue, where he plays very few notes, and they're like, oh, that's cool. I like that. I can like understand that a bit better. So in terms of accessibility, having that contrast between long notes and short notes is really going to help in terms of doing all that kind of stuff, which can be very, very helpful. That being said, you don't always have to play tons of long notes if you want. If it calls for a lot of notes, and in the case of like if you're playing like some hardcore metal stuff, it probably does call for a lot of notes. So you better deliver that. Same if you're like playing like giant steps. Like you can't really play a super intense jazz song that has tons of changes with very few notes. I mean, you can start off that way, but it's going to be it's not going to last very long, if that makes sense. Now, let's have a look. Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at the screen. I haven't put this back. I'm so sorry, guys. That's terrible. My bad. So hopefully that makes a bit of sense. Like you use long notes to give people time to understand what you're saying with your instrument, and you earn the right to play the kind of fancier stuff later on. So that's we've talked about what's happening harmonically. We've talked about what's happening rhythmically. What's something else you want to know about this this kind of solo? Okay, cool. Mike says, "Hi from Brazil. Improved my bass skills during the pandemic." Awesome, Mike. That's awesome. Now, John says, "Yeah, I'll definitely stick with bass and teaching. My graphic design skills are definitely not something to be proud of, for sure." Now, like I said before, if you're just joining, this whole thing, this transcription is in the description underneath the video if you want to check it out. It's like exactly what you're seeing here. But with all that in mind, let's try this. Let's have another quick listen to. Oh, I need to connect my audio again real quick. Get it to the right place. Right there. Have another listen to this. It's a bit too. Okay, there we go. Have another listen to the song. Have another listen to the solo with all these in mind. Have a listen to what's happening harmonically. Have a listen to what's happening rhythmically, and see if you can hear things that you didn't hear before. Check this out. this is one of the coolest things about doing this kind of thing, is transcribing and figuring out what other people are doing in their solos and their bass lines, is that you can pick so much value, so much information out of, like, this is only 8 bars, and we've talked about so many things. We've talked about contrasting of rhythms. We've talked about outlining chord changes and harmony with all that kind of stuff. And that's just from 8 bars of a really, really good solo. So the other meta lesson here is that you should absolutely be doing this kind of stuff for yourself. If you find a bass line that you love, figure it out. Figure out what's happening rhythmically. Figure out what's happening harmonically. Figure out everything you can from this whole thing, right? Have as much get as much out of it as you can. Really pick the meat off the bones of the music. That can be really, really cool. City Alpha 5 says, need the feel of the song. I'm not sure what you mean about that. If you can if you can make that more specific, let me know. I'd be more than happy to try and answer the question. Are you talking about like the groove of the song? It's just like a straight up 4/4 classic rock beat with maybe some a little bit of 16th pushes in there. So the bass line is actually there is no on the horizon. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's what you mean, but if it is, I hope that answers the question. If not, let me know, and I'll be happy to try and do a bit more detail on that. Now, where are we at? Did you guys have any questions about anything we've talked about so far? If so, let me know in the comments, because we have been going for about 25-ish minutes, and I'm here to help. So if you have questions, I'd love to help answer them for you. I'm not sure if you guys are as big Pink Floyd fans as I am, but this is what I grew up listening to. So this is like one of my favorite songs. There's no way I could forget how to play this thing. Can you play it through? Oh, like on the bass, you mean? Okay, so we have put this. I'll just get rid of this real quick so you can see what I'm doing a bit better. So we have get rid of this. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3. Pardon me. 3. Yeah, so I was putting in the root notes of the chords where I could. They're not obviously not in the actual the actual solo. David Gilmour isn't playing those notes, but it kind of makes a bit more sense with them underneath there. Thomas asks, what's the bass doing underneath the solo? It's mostly just playing roots. They do have a little bit of a push there, get to the C chord. Yeah, it's mostly just root notes, a couple of 16th note pushes. Other than that, it's super, super straightforward. But yeah, that's it. That's what I've got for David Gilmour's Comfortably Numb solo. Like I said, one of my favorites of all time. Really, really cool. Now, if you guys have any last minute questions, I'd be more than happy to answer. If not, we can call it a day, and I will see you very, very soon. This has been fun for me. I'm not sure about you guys, but I like this stuff. I'm into it. Now, let me see really quick. Oh, pardon me. There we go. Yeah, Thomas says really allows the song to breathe for sure. Chuck says this is the first song he learned on bass. That's awesome. That's perfect. It's a great song to learn. Yeah, this is a good one for the bass players, like actually learning to stick with the drummer at a slow tempo, because it is quite slow. Like medium tempos are usually like generally pretty easy, whereas really slow songs are kind of difficult. Really fast songs are really difficult. Like that middle ground is usually pretty easy for sure. Okay, this is interesting. Epidemic James Arcs says, playing live now with the band in a few weeks. Guitarist transfer to bass. Yeah, totally. Following tab and starting to figure out things on my own. What's a good starting place? If you're just starting out and you're playing a gig with a band in a couple of weeks, learn the songs as well as you possibly can. Learn the songs back to front, and do whatever you can to memorize them as quickly as possible. Because if you depending, I mean, it depends on how much material you have to play. If you have to play like a full 4-hour gig, that could be a little bit tricky if you're like just learning to play the instrument. At the moment, if you're just starting out, you don't need to worry about so much about scales, chords, arpeggios, all that kind of stuff. Your issue at the moment is just to get that rep learned. So I would spend the majority of your time just learning the songs that you have to play. Hopefully, you have a list and you can just kind of go through them as much as you can. If you can, try and learn them by ear. If you do that, it'll make it a lot easier to remember the songs versus just kind of playing it off tabs or sheet music or anything like that, for sure. Yes, but that would be my best advice. Learn as much as you can of the songs. Learn them as well as you can, and good luck with the gig, James. That sounds like it could be fun. Yeah, I haven't played like a real gig with like real people since I think March. So it's been a while. So I'm glad that you've got a gig of your own playing for real people in a real place. That's really really cool. I do have some coming in July, which will be fun because the restrictions are starting to lift here where I am in Australia, which is really really cool. This is a really good point as well. John says also don't overplay if you're coming from bass. Yeah, this is a classic problem that guitarists face. They play a lot of notes. Well, they can play a lot of notes because they're coming from an instrument that generally does play more notes than the bass. So that's very good advice coming from John for sure. City Alpha 5 says, where are you located? I thought you were in the UK. Yeah, people think I'm British for some reason. I'm definitely not. Well, I say I'm not British. I was actually born in Scotland, but I live in Australia now. I lived in Australia my whole life. I have an Australian accent. This is what an Australian accent sounds like, not a British accent. I used to live in Kentucky for a while. I did my master's degree over there, and I had a lot of people say, "Oh, what part of England are you from?" I'm like, "Oh, the Australian part of England," or like, "Oh, are you from London?" I'll be like, "I'm from the London Under." I thought that was the best joke ever. It wasn't. It was pretty bad. But yeah, awesome. James says I bought your course. Awesome. I don't recognize the username you have. But yeah, that's awesome. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're getting a lot out of it. If you have any questions, just email me on any of the emails. It'd be good. Yeah, it is pretty funny. All right, let's call it a day there because we're kind of getting off topic a little bit. But feel free to download that the transcription of Comfortably Numb Solo. That'll be really really cool. If you can play along with it, that'd be awesome. Yeah, John says, I do love Kentucky. I miss so many of the people that I met there, and man, my heart breaks for what's happening over there at the moment. It's really, really unfortunate. Really, it's a travesty. It's a tragedy. But anyway, we can't leave it on a sad note. Got to leave it on a happy note. So I'll see you guys very very soon, wherever you are in the world. I hope you're doing really well. Big hugs. Hope you're not going too crazy in quarantine times. But I'll be back sharing a whole bunch of more stuff later on. Make sure you head over on to becomeabassist.com, sign up to the email list if you haven't already. There's a ton of cool free stuff you can download, guides to modes, free extra lessons, all that kind of thing. Leaving it on a happy note. I'll see you very soon, and I hope you're doing really well. Really, really well. See you later, guys. Have a good one.